An Easy Target is easily one of the most depressing and horrible attempts at a BL or shonen I have ever seen in my life. It's so bad, in fact, I was reading it and I was thinking to myself, there is no way that this is made for people who read BL or shonen I, right? Like this, the author can't think that this is the kind of story we want to read. If you haven't read this Korean comic, I actually advise you not to, because it's not good. There's very few things that I regret reading, and this is one of them. And I'm not talking about the story either. I don't think that this art style is very good. I'm not an artist myself, so some people might be like, it's just the art style, but like, it seems as if the art style itself doesn't really understand like perspective at all. And I think that's just a fundamental issue. That's not a stylization problem. The characters are horrible, the art style is inconsistent, and just overall the tone of everything is just not good. The only attempt at a saving grace character is completely thrown out the window, and he turns out to be just as bad as everybody else. The ending of this comic just leaves you feeling awful. In fact, this comic is so bad, I have specifically put down other comics when I saw this art style, because I remembered how upset I was after finishing reading this one, and I told myself I don't even want to give this author the light of day anymore. So I'll go through the comic and tell you why it's so bad, but I'll graze over a lot of the really harsh details. And actually, again, I don't advise you read it. It's not very good, and you'll just feel sad by the end of it. Kyung-soo is our blonde protagonist. He confessed to his high school crush Choi-Yul and was accepted. They had a wonderful dating life and a wonderful high school experience until Choi-Yul turned out to be an absolute fucking psychopath. He ends up calling Kyung-soo over so that his friends can group R-word him while Choi-Yul just sits and watches. Yul wasn't pressured, he wasn't coerced, he wasn't threatened. He decided to do that of his own volition to his partner. And for a good chunk of the comic, the readers are just sitting there reading and thinking, why? Why did Yul do that? Well, the comic takes place 3 years after that incident, and we see that Kyung-soo has actually run away from the town that he used to live in so that he could get away from Yul. He's taken up refuge in a small rural town and has started trying to build his own life again. He starts dating a new guy named Dong-hyuk, and things are actually going very good until Yul is somehow able to track him down. Yul claims that he and Kyung-soo have actually never broken up and actually shames Kyung-soo for cheating on him. He says they just haven't seen each other in a while. And I shit you not, the entire comic is Kyung-soo running away, being captured, being a and then running away again from Yul over and over and over again. The absolute worst example of this is when Yul actually gets sick of Kyung-soo running away and confines him in the mansion that Yul grew up in, his family home. If you think this stops at hostage taking, hold on, I know you've read The Warehouse, but this is much worse. Everything that happens in The Warehouse, yes, and more. Yul's older brother lives in that house, and he keeps visiting Kyung-soo every single night, who is tied up in bed and can't do anything to resist. In a horrible and just completely depressing turn of events, Kyung-soo has to beg Yul to sleep in the same room as him so that maybe Yul can protect him from this horrible that he's facing from the likes of Yul's brother. That must feel horrible, to have to grovel at the feet of the man who abuses you constantly, right? Well, Yul says no, knows of his brother's, and decides that he's gonna take a week-long trip away from the house, leaving Kyung-soo at the hands of his older brother, just because he likes to see Kyung-soo suffer. So from here, we get an explanation as to why Yul constantly feels the need to hurt Kyung-soo. With the original R-word incident and now this thing with his brother, we get a flashback from when Yul was still a child. When Yul was a child, he actually got along quite well with his mother over his father. And then one day, just because, when he was like 5 or 6 years old, he shoved his mother down the stairs and killed her. Despite loving his mother way more than his father, even to this day, he doesn't really understand why he feels the need to harm the things that he loves. And that's this comic's really indirect way of telling us that deep down, Yul loves Kyung-soo, which is stupid. It's just dumb. You don't do that to things that you actually love. Yul should not be here. He should be in therapy. Actually, not therapy, prison. Like, Yul, it's not enough to just identify your tendencies. You have to actually do something about them. And I know that's way easier said than done, but you killed someone. And you ruined Kyung-soo's life and are still ruining it. If they're harmful tendencies, you should be proactively stopping that from happening. And even if you rectify your behavior, Kyung-soo is perfectly valid in not wanting anything to do with you ever again. At this point, you just lack basic human empathy. And that's a problem. You kind of need that in a relationship. And at the end of the comic, Yul and Kyung-soo do get back together. Barely, actually, because Yul refuses to leave Kyung-soo's side again. They live in the same apartment building because Yul forces him to. And you're supposed to see this as, aw, Yul is trying. No, shut the fuck up. It is the grossest feeling I have ever had upon reading a comic. The fact that Kyung-soo will never, this is a tragedy. He is never going to stop being victimized by this guy. Never. Despite all of that, Kyung-soo is the worst protagonist ever. He is so annoying. Go to the police. That's how bad this comic is. It is just the worst. If you want to feel sad, I guess you can read it, but like, I advise against it. Honestly, do not even waste your time. No outro today. Give me more shit in the recommended. Bye bye.